Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member. I'm still trying to figure out if my cute shoes today hurt or if they're comfortable. But thank you.
More is better.
But thank you, Mr. Cleaver. I'm from Ohio, and my 3rd congressional district does not have a lot of rural, but in the great state of Ohio, maybe my colleague Mr. Stivers and others would have more of that rural. But I come with some 20 years of experience, housing experience. More specifically, you mentioned Section 8 with public housing, working with Section 8. So I'm not quite as familiar with some of the intimate details with rural housing. But some of the information that I received talks about in rural housing, you can give direct funds to someone to buy a home. That would be somewhat unheard of or a disclaimer in public housing. You know, if someone gave you a loan, then you wouldn't be able to qualify, and you wouldn't be able to get it unless you're part of the self-sufficiency move out. So I see them as quite different. So I guess my question to you is, given the current existing shortage of the number of available and affordable rental units in both rural housing and HUD or urban housing supply, and the long-standing of underfunding of federal affordable housing programs, could you describe to me any concerns you would have with consolidating rural housing and HUD programs, as some had suggested?
Sure. There are concerns when you look at any consolidation. What you're looking for, what is the best way to meet the customer need? What we have found is our rental assistance, and Congress was very good. About 30 years ago, they had a strategic decision they made. They said, we're going to invest in rental assistance. 30 years ago, we have 14,000 properties, 400,000 families whose income are between $10,000 and $12,000. 60% of those folks are elderly and disabled that live in rural America. They want to stay there. So we, with your help, created a policy and a program called rental assistance, and that program works very well. The challenge we have is those properties are coming to maturity right now. We have 11,576 properties whose contract with us and through Congress is coming to an end. That means the subsidy, which is 30% of their income that they pay for rent, will go away unless Congress decides to help us find a way to address this challenge. So we have folks that potentially could be homeless. So we're looking for the opportunity today to recommit to providing affordable housing and rental housing in rural America. To do that, we have to address our maturing mortgages problem and challenge that we have. To do that, we use rental assistance. Now, the reason rental assistance is a great tool is because it's not a Section 8 product. It stays with the building, so we reinvest in that building, remodernize that building. We have the private sector providing the services. We're a guarantee, we provide a loan. So the private sector is providing the service. What a nice partnership that Congress created here for us to provide service to them. And that's what we do today. So with those owners today, we are working with them to preserve as many of those properties as possible. And to do that, we have to find ways to reduce the cost.
Are you familiar on the HUD side? We had something like that, and it was called Project Base. And it was a 20-year program that was developed. And then in more recent years, unlike what you just described, the federal government took away those Project Base. It was even with the homes. So, for example, if I owned several homes, then the Public Housing Authority through HUD would give me the money to fix it up, and I got it. Now it's a lot different in terms of that. Tenant does something to your home, you're responsible for fixing it up, and there are no dollars for renovating. So there's a difference. When you're in urban areas, it's always quite interesting to me, and I don't know if either one of you gentlemen can help me out, but if we're talking about rural and we're talking about farmers, it's a subsidy. And when we're talking about rural and we're talking about housing, it doesn't have the negative connotation that as soon as we go to urban, people make it like they're getting a handout or that they're getting welfare. But you make it sound so eloquent, and oftentimes in the same committee, when we're talking about urban or inner city, it just seems like a more negative connotation to lifestyles and individuals.
Great.
So I'd be interested in your comments on that.
Well,
In the single-family arena, one might ask the question, why isn't it that a lower-income household who wants to buy a home in an urban area shouldn't have access to the no-down payment mortgage that Rural Housing Service offers? For example, in the multifamily arena, I think the programs there are a lot of similarities, but they're not quite as similar as in the single-family arena. And here, RHS can offer a 1% loan for a builder to construct a building and have rental assistance with it too. So it really makes that property possible. So I'm not so sure that same kind of provisions you could find in an urban area.
Thank you.